boy. Greetings, salutations, respect, and love, boys and girls. Oh, it's on. I'm so excited. We've been hyping this up for over 2 months now, and the day has actually come. The battle is upon us. Oh, the prog rock battle you didn't know you needed is absolutely forefront today as we discuss the eternal question: can you dance to prog? And it's been a simmering debate and feud for quite some time as my good friend Charlie Bramald. I'm not going to try to sugarcoat it. I've been Team Charlie throughout this whole thing, but it's been Charlie Bramald, the forces of good, versus Baz Cilia, the forces of evil. He thinks that dancing in Prague is okay.
Wow.
You know what? Baz, you are so wrong that before we go ahead and introduce the rest of our guests, I'm going to let you have the first word.
Well, thank you, Scott, and thank you for having us. This is Spriggan Mist.
Spriggan Mist, everybody. Introduce the man, Baz.
Everyone. So here we are live in our green room just before...
It's green.
It is green, in fact. Headlining a show in Lincolnshire. And but we couldn't not come on the show because we feel that the good people of the prog world should be allowed to choose. We don't think that the dictatorship or the dictator that is Charlie should dictate to anybody if they can dance or not.
Did he
Yeah, absolutely.
Did he just drop the
Who
mic?
is that little upstart from Sheffield? Do you know about Sheffield in America, in the US?
No, we haven't even heard of it. We don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. With his little floppy hair, come along and tell people that they can't dance. If people don't want to dance, that's fine. That's cool. But if they want to dance, let them rip their clothes off, do what they want. Let's just dance.
We don't make them dance.
We don't make them. Well, we do. We just play our music.
Inspire them.
We inspire them to dance.
It just happens.
It happens. It's called Sprigganization. That I'm seeing a nod there from the gentleman in the middle. And this is my point. I think that he's made himself like a one-man inquisitor, and he's calling people out. And you know, we've had so many complaints about him.
It is like a witch hunt.
It's like a witch hunt. And we've got many witches in our band. And it's a witch hunt. It's awful. So not only is it discriminatory,
it's witch hunting is only bad when you're not actually hunting witches. Then what's the problem? You ask the question, who is Charlie to pass judgment? I looked at this issue of Prog Magazine with, these three gentlemen's faces. And right before the article about King Crimson, there's a full-page picture of our boy.
Yeah.
That's who he is.
But
that's who he is.
He still can't dictate to people what they do, Scott.
Oh, it gives him
It's all gone to his head. The fame has gone to his head.
Well, that could, that's
who voted him in?
That could be a separate issue.
No. Ali, did you vote Charlie? No. Nobody voted Charlie in. So I'm afraid it's not right.
Self-imposed.
It's self-imposed importance.
It's not self-imposed. You asked who voted him in. I don't know. Last Reader's Choice Awards for Prog Magazine, a whole slew of people voted Charlie in as best vocalist. Scott.
Nobody is saying he's not a talented man. Some people, including my mum, think he's cute. Okay? But it still doesn't allow you or anybody to dictate to anybody that comes to a gig they cannot dance. And that's that's the bottom end. That is it.
Okay. I've led the charge for Charlie, been his mouthpiece here for the first 10 minutes of this show. It's about time we hear from Charlie himself. Defend your position on this. And Kiefer's asking a relevant question, kind of a tangential question. If dancing's not allowed in Prague, is headbanging allowed in Prague? The floor is yours, Charlie.
Scott, thank you very much for having me once again on the Prog Corner. You are an esteemed ambassador for our wonderful genre.
Yeah.
Yes, this is why we love Charlie. Yes. Take notes, boys and girls. Take notes.
In preparation for this session, I was looking at the Progressive Rock Wikipedia article, which does state that the focus is on musical activity involved creating music for listening, not for dancing. So that's the Wikipedia article. It's cited.
There
from
you
an
go,
academic
right there.
source.
If
Now,
it's in
headbanging.
Wikipedia.
We know that progressive rock has quite a lot of complex structures, odd time signatures. It's music that tickles the brain, but one should take great care when attempting to dance to prog. This is not a dictatorship; it's a health warning. If you and our demographic attempts to dance at prog, you might well hurt yourself, and that is why there are rules.
And Charlie, have you seen the demographic? I don't know how it is in the UK, right? But here in the US, I don't know what the average age of a prog concert goer is, but
it's a distinguished audience who enjoy cerebral music.
It's a valid concern you have for the health and well-being of concert goers.
I'm wearing a Pink Floyd t-shirt and I'm drinking from a Pink Floyd mug, and this is music that I enjoyed listening to with my brain, not my dancing shoes. There is plenty of music out there that is worth dancing to, but prog is a place where we need to be careful about it. And Spriggan Mist burst onto the prog scene. You know, they've got their pagan roots, but they've burst onto the prog scene, and they've brought it into disrepute with their complete disregard for the well-being of our audiences. Look at them celebrating en masse. This call, this live session, by the way, for your viewers, was scheduled for last week, but Baz ran scared. He postponed it, and he's called in the reinforcements because he couldn't face me alone. We've got the lovely hats off gentlemen, it's adequate people here, who we can have an intelligent conversation with without them resorting to the
obviously they're
Baz the bully.
They're obviously a little too highbrow.
Hang on. Can I just stop you there? Hats off, gentlemen. Do you not have a song called Music to Dance to?
Music for dancing, yes.
Yes. There you go. So your argument there has just been kicked out the window, Charlie. Hats off, gentlemen. Very well known on the prog scene. Very well respected. They are a prog band. They have a song called Music.
Who I've danced to.
Who have danced. And I have danced to. Hats off. And you know what? Mark, especially on stage, he does give a little bit of boogie as well. So carry on.
I jump around and sweat a lot, but when I quit dancing, I don't think
doesn't look like any sort of dancing I've ever seen.
About a lot.
Well, what you do, I would say, is physical expression.
Yes,
absolutely. And personally, I think physical expression, as long as you are not putting other people at risk, is something that people should be free to do or not do as they wish.
And physical expression is a lovely definition of dancing.
I think physical expression can include dancing, headbanging, and it can also be engaged with by. You were mentioning about health issues and the audience. Even if you're restricted, there are people who are restricted to, say, seats who are still able to be involved in dancing. There are different forms of dancing. There's wheelchair dancing. There's various disability groups that advocate for dancing as a therapeutic modality. I think for those who enjoy moving to music,
put them in the swimming pool, Malcolm. Put them in the swimming pool. They don't need to be dancing in their wheelchair. Put the wheelchair in the swimming pool. They're going to get way better workout than dancing. It's ridiculous. And Kevin, can we please demote Spriggan Mist to the bottom and promote Charlie? There we go. Now you got it. The top line is right. The bottom line's wrong. The lines have been drawn in the sand. Okay.
Charlie, one word. Solstice. Now, Charlie, you've seen Solstice live.
Dance to Solstice.
It's on film.
It's on film. He was dancing like
now. Okay. So Solstice, they're pretty funky, right? They've got a lot of funky bits.
They're prog.
You know, for a prog band, yes.
Well,
they're prog.
You know, the funky bits. I'm dancing to the funky bits, not the prog bits.
You could go into politics, you know.
If if the debate had been between Baz saying dancing was mandatory and Charlie saying it is banned, then that would be a very different argument. But as far as I understand it, the argument is between freedom to dance if you wish to, and as long as it's in a way that's mindful of other people's space and safety, and not having that as an option. As a general principle,
exactly that.
Unless you're hurting somebody else with your choices, I personally believe in freedom.
Yes.
The people are complaining about the bottom line. They're saying it's total chaos. And they're not complaining about me, Kevin, and Charlie. They're complaining about the bottom liners, the dance people, which honestly, as much as I love Hats Off, Gentlemen, It's Adequate. And, you know, they obviously they're working on like a higher cerebral level, right? Their latest album is what about Heisenberg Principle of Uncertainty? Come on, man. Hey, look at that album cover, by the way. I want to talk about that album cover. Look at that thing. Oh, man, that's awesome. Look at that. That
is a nice album cover. That's good.
That is beautiful. You know, we're going to talk a little bit more about the album itself, but who designed that album cover? Mark, Malcolm?
Well, we do all for the last few albums, we've done all the artwork and design ourselves, largely because we're too conflict averse to deal with other people.
Thank you, Malcolm. That's how you handle a layup question. Unlike a guest we had several weeks ago, whom I gave this layup question, right? Like, tell me about the meaning behind the title track of your new album. And my guest retorts back, gee, I would have thought you would have read the press release. I'm like, it's not for me, Nad. It's for my audience, please. Oh, oops, I was supposed to keep that name.
Yeah.
I love you, Nad. I love you. You're awesome, but that was amazing. An amazing moment. Very well handled by our guest, Malcolm and Mark, who, in case you don't know, did a gig that made it highlighted. And see, it's to me the latest issue of Prog. I'm not going to get the new one for like 3 months. You know, it takes forever to get the new Prog magazine here. But, you know, every month they do have like certain features that they do. And one is called Take a Bow, where they talk about different live shows. And wouldn't you know, the leadoff one is a little gig at the Camden Club back in June of 2025. Oh, all our guests today can take a bow at this one. Look at this. Hats off, gentlemen. It's Adequate with Ghost of the Machine. They actually loved the gig. This was, who wrote this, by the way?
Alison Ryman, I think, wrote that one.
Okay. Awesome piece. Got to be proud. Good pictures of the band and everything. So we kind of knew where Malcolm and Mark stood, right, Charlie? You kind of pre-warned me that these guys were kind of pro dancing.
We had quite an interesting discussion at that very gig in London back in April that you've read the review of, where the audience asked us questions, and Malcolm eloquently made the point about in favour of dancing or freedom of expression. In a way that was in no way reminiscent of the blowhard Baz the Bully below me.
You know, this is, you know, people have accused.
Ow, Charlie!
What? I don't know where that came from, but I can get it.
Charlie, you're mentioning about the complexities of prog, and yes, in the prog world, we are susceptible to the odd time signature. I think it would be interesting to see a good choreographer seeing what they did with some prog rhythms and how they translated those in terms of professional dancers. I realize here the talk's more about what people are doing in the audience, but
that's a great topic of conversation, Malcolm. It absolutely makes me nauseated to even think about what you're suggesting. The whole idea of just here, like imagining like all these fluttering, you know, dance people in 9/8 time. It's just no. I think
it could well prove my point that this is a safety feat.
Just a point about all this cerebral stuff and you know, high level thinking, what have you. How about ballet then? Would you not say that the music that accompanies ballet is not cerebral and very high?
Absolutely, yeah.
And dancing in it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Dancing belongs in ballet. Absolutely, it does.
Have you ever gone to a ballet?
100%.
You ever gone to watch a ballet and attempted to do the dance yourself during the show?
Oh no. No.
Nice try, Neil. Nice try.
Yeah, but I like it. You know, somebody did bring up Hawkwind, right? And you know, back in the 70s, right, they had this chick that would come out buck naked, right, and dance around. Stacia. Somebody brought her up in the comments, and you know what? We got, you know, there's exceptions to every rule, right? That could possibly be one. You know, if some girl wants to get buck naked on stage or whatever and dance.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Sidestep the line here. That's like way out of my feminist comfort zone. So, you know, if we're going to talk about naked women, like allowed to dance, but nobody else, then, well, where are we going with that? Well, drop the
You
mic.
bring up an excellent point. Hey, you know what? I'm a 21st century guy, right? I'll admit I'm the straightest man on earth, but I am an ally. And if there's some dudes that want to get up there, you know, there's got to be a proviso here, right? And the reason I mentioned Stacia and not why it was okay wasn't because she was necessarily female. It's because that people necessarily didn't mind seeing her get naked. So, you know what? If you're a dude and you're going to get up on stage and get naked and dance, please have hit the gym for a little while or something first. Otherwise, nobody wants to see those dad rolls. You know, that's just not what nobody wants to see. Keep the dad bods away from the prog gigs because you know what you'd be getting. You know, you see the faces, you see the body types at a prog gig. You don't want the dude sitting next to you, right? Getting up, taking all his clothes off, like Frank Zappa suggested, right?
If they are not fit, but they love their body, good for them.
Absolutely.
There we go.
So we've got another dictatorship, haven't we? This is a bit fascist, this is. At the end of the day, let people express themselves however they want. They want to take their clothes off, they take their clothes off. They want to sit there and nod, they want to fall asleep. It happens at a Ghost of the Machine gig. You know, it is what it is. You know, it is what it is.
And that was quite trendy.
Yeah, that was quite trendy.
All the memes about your
Listen, I have seen somebody, okay, at a Spriggan Mist gig, and I'll name the gig, Neen Valley Rock Festival last year. People were dancing and they were getting it, all right? But a guy that promotes lots of prog, he was sound asleep in his deck chair, even to us, okay? But he said the music just moved him in a way that soothed him into a nice deep sleep. And something to do with the alcohol he had the night before. But my point is, who are we to dictate? I mean, I might have pulled him out at one stage, but that's another thing. But then, Charlie, you're not exactly exempt from calling people out from stage, are you? Let's face it.
There we go.
That's
some strong words. Some strong words from Baz, but also a great comment from Stefan, which is Christina Ricci dancing to Moonchild in that movie Buffalo 66. Absolutely. You know, there are exceptions to every single rule. That was a cool movie. You ever see that movie, Kevin?
Never.
Oh, wow. That movie's awesome. It's got Moonchild in it. It's got, there's a whole scene with the Heart of the Sunrise.
I'm trying to picture dancing to Moonchild, and so I'm a little thrown for a minute here.
It's pretty cool. Hey, we got the great Barry Robinson in the house. We always acknowledge whenever we got superstars
Barry Robinson.
Like Jacob Roberge is in the house.
Yeah, Barry Robinson.
We love you, Jacob Roberge.
Amazing album. Jacob Roberge, amazing album.
Yes, cool. Yeah.
But let's get back to Barry Robinson. What's Barry talking about? Charlie has a great pair of disco trousers with a pair of socks shoved down the front. I hear these things directly from inside sources. And, you know, he's got inside sources, man. You know, he picks up the phone and gets Tony Banks on his channel, right?
Yeah.
I know who that
I don't have
is.
Tony Banks coming on my channel.
Yeah.
You should.
What do you think, Charlie? Are any of these accusations true?
I know who the source is.
Yeah.
And his name is Roger Marsh, who claims to be
Wow.
neutral.
Well, Roger,
Claims
he's
to be a
working down there at the moment. Bless him.
I know that he meets up with Barry for a breakfast every few weeks. So, yeah, Roger claims to be a neutral, and he's a wonderful servant to our prog community. He was very helpful when we played with Hats Off Gentlemen, It's Adequate. But for some reason, Spriggan Mist seem to have put a spell on him, and he's attempting to sabotage me at every turn. Love you, Roger.
It's the hat. Look at Faye's hat. It's the hat, right? I mean, you're gonna be a spell is gonna be cast. You know you're in the presence of a witch. Right? There's just it's just obvious. You can tell this is not just like stage gear, right? This is the life you live, right?
Pardon?
This is the life you live.
Oh yes, this is. No,
This is you.
I'm more Druid. Max is more the witch.
Okay. I like to know who we're dealing with on the show, by the way. It's important to the question at hand.
I'm gonna bet on you. Cause you're mine.
You'll put a spell on you, I'll poison you with death caps.
Yeah.
And I'll pray for your soul.
So, Charlie, what are we going to do I look at the boxing world for an analogy here where you've got this heavyweight battle going on, right? This is kind of like the weigh-in. We're going to settle this once and for all live in concert, aren't we? Tell the good boys and girls in our audience what exactly we're going to do to settle this, because obviously the war of words can't be won over the internet. It's got to be mano a mano. So tell us what we're going to have to look forward to.
Yeah, this has been going on for too long. It started with the Power of Three tour last year in February when Spriggan Mist under Baz's stewardship disgraced themselves, and we didn't quite settle the score. Baz has been causing me grief with no end over the past 15 months or so. And we needed to have a rematch to settle it. And the rematch takes place next Sunday in Southampton on the south coast of the UK. And unfortunately, Scott will miss the Prog Corner because we will be duking it out on the stage. And we're
where in Southampton?
So it's the 1865 under the wonderful stewardship of Jeff Tucker. It's an awesome venue.
Solo prog gigs, isn't it? Solo prog gig.
Prog gig of the summer, boys and girls. That's a week from today.
Tickets are selling very well. Please do grab one if you're available to go to Southampton. And if you're not available to go to Southampton,
once and for all.
Make sure you can go to Southampton.
Yeah. You know what? I don't care. We're from the US. Me and Kevin are used to we got to go to prog gigs and drive 18 hours and stuff. And it's normal. And then we hear about people in the UK crying, oh, it's all the way in Birmingham. I'm like, how far is this? 3 hours. I'm like, what are you talking about, man? You guys should be hitting up this gig next Sunday. We're going to settle it once and for all. Absolutely. Spriggan Mist, Ghost of the Machine in Southampton. Very, very cool. Let's sell this concert out, boys and girls. Get your tickets today. I love you, Charlie, but before you showed up here, Baz and I were talking a little bit, and I got to be fair here. I got to play even-handed, and there was a couple things I saw online over the last couple weeks, maybe, that got me a little worried. And it might have to do with perhaps Baz Cilia's Maltese ancestry. Now, I'm going to allow you to, get into details if there was anything, motivated racially by any comments, because I get a little triggered by this kind of stuff.
No, I expressed a craving for a light chocolatey snack, and he accused me of racism, which is basically libel, right?
Wow.
So
that's it?
Do you know what it's like? Do you know what it's like? Do you know what it's like? Growing up in the UK as a Maltese national whenever you tell people I'm Maltese, they go, "Oh, you got a honeycomb centre and chocolate on the outside. Oh, if I stamp on your toe, will I make you cross?" All right, it's tiring, Charlie, and I thought much more of you. You don't hear me. You don't hear me. Attack your ethnic background. I mean, everybody knows you're a minority.
Really?
I've been from Yorkshire.
Yeah, from Yorkshire.
You make digs about that all the time. But honestly, Baz, there is nothing sweet about you. I would in no way compare you to a piece of confectionery.
Charlie, that really hurt.
Yeah.
Baz, one thing I gotta say to Baz, your family immigrated to the wrong country. Because if you people would have immigrated to the U.S. and someone asked, "Hey, where are y'all from?" and you would have said Malta, 99.999% of Americans would have looked at you with dead eyes and gone, "What?"
Yeah, I've got family in the U.S. They live.
We don't know nothing. We're so dumb.
They live in California.
Yeah.
They live in California, and they nobody knows where Malta is. But that's a thing, isn't it?
We don't know anything. We really don't. Americans
we know
are
the movie The Maltese Falcon. That's about it.
Which had really nothing to do with Malta.
No.
But there you go.
Nothing whatsoever. So that's as far as we can actually settle it. And I'm just gonna let everybody give their final thoughts on this, and then we're gonna talk about something exciting. Like the album that just dropped a couple months ago from our two guests, Malcolm and Mark. Really, really cool album. Show that off, Charlie. Look at that. Oh, yeah.
Gorgeous.
It's amazing. It's amazing. It's called The Uncertainty Principle.
Very good album. Really good.
It's about, man, this album's good. And I've been ragging on these guys for years, like, oh, they need a drummer, that's been my whole thing. It's like, I love these guys, but they could sure use a drummer.
We'll get to that.
But you know what? Somebody the other day is like, did the Pet Shop Boys or Soft Cell or any of the bands that you love what is your problem, dude? And they're 100% right. I'm over it now. I'm 100% over it. I'm 100% in on the new album. But before we get into that, I do want to get some final thoughts on this whole dancing thing. It has to be said, Spriggan Mist. I'm going to start with you guys.
Okay.
Final thoughts on this whole thing.
Because I think we're going to have to go and sound check and what have you. So
okay, perfect.
I will leave you. We will leave you with this. Okay, right, Charlie. No issue with your band. No issue with you as a singer. Okay. Your flute playing is a bit iffy, but you're a good singer. Sorry, that was below the belt. That's not true. Okay. Wow. But you can't dictate to people what they do. If people want to dance, they will dance. It doesn't matter what age. Our prog following, we have young people in prog now, and I think that the bands that are bringing that dance element to it are bringing younger people, bringing life to it. Okay. And I don't think that's a bad thing for prog. There's a place for that prog where you sit and you nod off. I mean, you nod your head and, yeah. All right.
What's prog for? Well, prog is for progressive, and we are progressive.
Okay.
I will come to a compromise and say that Charlie does have a point that if they don't progressively, it might not bring life to the prog scene.
Well, yeah, we have noticed that. Yeah. I tell you, it might have to be. That might be a compromise. We might have to put a health warning.
Bringing people together. That's what we do in the Prog Corner.
Absolutely.
Spriggan Mist, Baz, the gang from Spriggan Mist, off to do their little sound check. They're gigging tonight. Where are you guys? In case somebody's nearby wants to go see you.
We're in Smiths of Bourne. It's on the High Street in Bourne in Lincolnshire. Not far from the Nene Valley Rock Festival, which is where we're playing this year. So there's a whole load of bands that are trying to get on the festival. We've been on the festival for 3 years now. So we're going to be playing once the judges are deliberating as to who they're going to choose to go through. So we've got that gig to do, and it's a really good festival, and we want to support that.
Cool. Fantastic. Spriggan Mist. You guys kick some butt. If you're in Lincolnshire right now, head your way over there and check out Spriggan Mist. And next Sunday in Southampton, the mighty battle will resolve it once and for all. Thank you, Spriggan Mist. Thank you, Baz. Next up, I want to hear a direct rebuttal from Charlie. You heard it. You heard it. What do you think about what was just said?
Guys, you know, it is a breath of fresh air that you brought so much attitude to the prog scene, but you've done it with complete disregard for the norms. Look, people like Stephen Wilson, all the big artists, Steve Hackett, you go to these concerts, they're all seated, man.
No, Stephen Wilson says, get up and dance if you want to.
I was scolded by Stephen Wilson at my last show that I saw him at, because he goes, I got to fire whoever decided it was a good idea to book shows where everybody's sitting down. He wanted everybody standing up the whole time.
That's what he says.
The organisers understood it. Health and safety measures, no dancing to prog. Look, guys, I'm all for freedom of expression. If you want to headbang, if you want to tap your feet to the Optag signatures, be my guest. But please be careful.
Hey, Charlie, does your camera do this?
There they are. And there they are, boys and girls. Yeah, I guess they can't take the heat, Charlie.
No, I mean, Baz already rescheduled this from last week. He obviously couldn't face me alone. He's brought reinforcements and
sound check, smound check. We all know what just happened there, boys and girls.
It reflects pretty poorly on him, but we've said our piece, and I think now it might be time to move on.
It's a fake gig. They didn't have a gig. They just went to a club, right? And pretended. Hey, let's walk around and pretend like we're actually playing
during the pre-show sound check. They're like going, "Is the music too loud?" And Scott and I like, we do not hear anything. That club is empty. There is no one there.
No, I'm sure they'll have people up.
It's all a big put on. That's oh man, I should have expected nothing less. Absolutely not. Oh, Mark, Malcolm, thank you so much for kind of letting your episode get completely stepped on by this thing, right?
Problem. Not a problem.
And I blame Baz. Again, you guys were supposed to have a standalone episode, but because Baz had to reschedule, I decided that we'd just do it all at once, and it turned out to be pretty good.
Nah, both Charlie and the Sprigs are good friends of ours. We've known them for a very long time, and they're all sound people. So yeah.
So we're gonna segue. We're gonna pivot right into hats off, gentlemen. It's adequate, and I was kind of half surprised when I looked at the new album and saw it was your 8th album. I'm like, oh, here we go. Kevin's got the discography here. I was like, hello. I kind of been sleeping on you guys because the first one that I really came to know you guys from was in 2020 with Nostalgia for Infinity.
Yeah.
But there were 4 before then, and the 3 most recent ones, The Confidence Trick seems to be like everybody's favorite. The Light of Ancient Mistakes, very, very good. But this new one, man, The Uncertainty Principle, this could be your best album.
Thank you very much. Yeah,
let's talk.
The last 3, I think, are definitely that's where we are now. I think we've settled into like a little into a groove, I think.
And it's like if you look at the ratings on Prog Archive, the punters certainly seem to agree because those 3 are like ranked way ahead of the other 5.
Well, Malcolm sends me links to reviews that are on Prog Archive all the time, and I'm blown away by the reviews for this one.
Yeah,
we're getting some very high ratings on there. So yeah.
So something happened. Tell me a little bit about this record, the going into the concept, because I personally think this is a genius idea for a concept album. First of all, us proggers, we need a good concept. It really helps get our brain connected to what's going on so we can latch on to all the intricacies and the weirdness and the time signatures and the key changes and the this and the that. We need something that our little caveman lizard brains need to lock in on something. And the Heisenberg principle, the uncertainty principle, that is just an amazing idea, because if you think about the one idea in the history of mankind that just blows apart everything we know about the known universe, that's it, right? I mean, nothing is as it seems. Nothing is where it's supposed to be. Two things can be in the same exact place at the same exact time. I mean, huh? What?
Yeah, I'm very glad that idea, obviously, came across to you, because that's what I was aiming for. To me, the lyrics and the story behind a song and albums where there's an overarching theme is really important to me. To me, it feels like, the lyrics and the music are roughly 50-50 in my mind as to the creativity in what we do. Issues relating to confidence, certainty, excessive certainty, overconfidence, they're recurrent themes for me in songwriting, and also in my past life as a medical school teacher and a doctor. So I used to teach about misdiagnoses, and one of the common reasons that misdiagnoses happen is people being excessively certain about things and being overly confident. And I think if you look at a lot of other things going on in the world, you'll find that unfortunately often overconfident, excessively certain men don't necessarily make the world as good a place as it could be. And then the uncertainty principle as a concept was really interesting to me. The idea that the history of science up until the beginning of the 20th century seemed to be that the closer you look, the more carefully you investigate something, the more detail you'll get, the closer and closer you'll get to some kind of underlying solid truth. And then the uncertainty principle showed that actually at its very smallest level, reality is fuzzy. And actually by being more certain in one respect, it makes you less certain about another aspect. This is talking about tiny particles and doesn't necessarily literally translate to, human-sized objects and events. But as a
but how could it not, when you realize at the core, right, for 1,000 years, scientific principles said you drill down deep enough, you get to certainty or closer to certainty. The microscope, you get a bigger aperture, you're going to get some form of closure. And all we got was this whole soup of everything we knew about the universe is actually wrong. And that's a lot, because that's got to trickle down into every single aspect of society. And maybe not overnight, but just real steadily. There's no solid earth. There's no foundation anymore. What is real and what is not real is very hazy, very fuzzy now.
I mean, it would be nice if that kind of intellectual humility did percolate from science into the rest of society. But in the roughly 100 years or so that quantum mechanics has been around, what I would like to have seen doesn't seem to very obviously have happened.
Yeah.
If you see what I mean, in terms of, I think most of us would benefit from being able to acknowledge that we're sometimes wrong.
Yeah. From Doctor to Prog Rocker, we've got a couple of those, right? We got Dr. Johnny Greenwood in Unitopia, right? It's not that unheard of. But Kevin, we queued up a song just in case we had a little bit of time to talk about the new Hats Off Gentlemen, It's Adequate album. And I've been listening to this album quite a bit leading up to today. And it's outstanding. And Kevin, I asked you to cue something up. Do you want to play a song?
Yep. You bet.
Mark, Malcolm, you guys want to talk about, this is the second track off the album that we got queued up, right, Kevin?
That's everything changed. The idea you were talking about, how
everything changed.
Everything changed. Obviously, everything changed in the sense of understanding of the philosophy of science, rather than necessarily everyday life for most people, I admit. But in terms of how we look at how the universe works, it did overturn everything. and it might seem like the science might seem ridiculous, but it works. Without quantum mechanics, computers, telephones, satellites, all these things that we depend on for our everyday modern lives wouldn't work. Semiconductors are all dependent on quantum physics, something that, when you actually think about it, seems totally implausible. But it's true. It works.
Yeah. I like your lyrics in this as well, Malcolm, because your lyrics are really fragmented, aren't they? They're sort of they're appearing in certain places all over the place.
Yeah, this was an unusual lyric for me in that, it was very much isolated words, but each word relates to the word before it and the word after it. And sometimes the meaning of the individual words has got different meanings depending on whether you're including it with the word before or the word afterwards. So it was a clumsy analogy for quantum, the way that you've got little dots of quanta in the science, but in a lyrical.
I totally get it. It totally makes sense, and that's why I think it's good for the boys and girls that this is a lyric video, so maybe you can catch a little bit about what we're talking about here, right?
Thanks.
All right, let's go.
Let's do it.
So it seems that small things are strange. Jump, shell, cloud here and not. One at a time, wave through paired gap, light trap, points blur to stripes. The more we precisely know X, the less well we know why. Split line, spin, shine, let stars burn bright. Always
Yes, boys and girls. The album is really that good.
Thank you.
Actually,
Thank you.
I don't think that's the best song of the album by a landslide. There's so many great songs on that record. Yeah, I'm sorry I haven't reviewed it yet. I just, the avalanche is real. There's been so many great releases in 2025. It's just really hard to keep up on everything, but this is one for your absolute attention. You need to hear this record. It is called The Uncertainty Principle by Hats Off Gentlemen, It's Adequate. Tell the little boys and girls how they can get a hold of this record.
What's the best way? Bandcamp? Our Bandcamp?
Bandcamp, or we've got various distributors in different countries. So, yeah, if you've got difficulty finding a local distributor, you can always get in touch with us through our website, and we'll put you in touch with a local distributor.
Hatsoffgentleman.com is the website for us. And then
there you go.
Bandcamp as well. We're all over socials.
Hatsoffgentleman.com. Absolutely. It's a killer record. And that song's really cool. I love the lyrics, and I love how the lyric video kind of drives home the point that Malcolm you were talking about when you're writing the song, how little quanta of datum. It's very, very cool. But anyway, I don't think we really settled it, because there seemed to be a lot of chaos going on in that fake gig Spriggan Mist had going on, Charlie. Do you think that was real, or do you think that was just like a put on?
No, that's what they're like. They cause chaos wherever they go, and I'm really sorry that they've come onto your channel and disrespected the level of discussion that you expect to have from your guests.
Well, I like to have all voices heard on this channel. I mean, even in the height of the whole good versus evil that I went through when I was being terrorized by one Andy Edwards.
Oh, yes.
We still allowed him to have a voice on the channel. Even though we should have banned him for life. Like, I've been banned from Southwest Airlines. No.
That's true. Really?
No.
Look,
I'm just banned from the UK.
It's good to have a nemesis. It spurs you on. It certainly drives me forward to be better. Baz shows me what not to do.
Yeah, and I think we need those kind of examples in our life.
We do, but then we also need lovely people like Hats Off Gentlemen, It's Adequate to shine a light.
Absolutely.
Wonderful music. I think they've made some new fans today in the Peanut Gallery.
I think so too.
So,
so what is, and I gotta respond to some of these Jeff Shilka, among others, saying I was dancing in my chair.
There was lots of head nodding going on, Scott.
You're allowed, as long as you're sitting down, you're allowed to do whatever you want, bro. I mean, the minute you get up and you start like doing no, absolutely not. Just the thought of it just icks me out so much. It's just like, what was I doing there? That is
dancing
not
with
allowed.
snakes is fine.
Yeah.
Did you know that we once had a dancing Daleks in our mosh pit?
That's true.
Oh, let's hear about this. Story. Let's hear the story.
We played. We used to quite often play at a science fiction convention where they also had live music, and quite a lot of our songs relate to science fiction. So we had a lot of fun playing there, and there was a troop of Daleks, proper full-size Daleks with people inside them.
Amazing.
People who they make replica Daleks, and they came along and danced at the front of our stage in their Dalek-y way with the
my god,
and it was lovely.
Okay, well, we've got more celebrities in the house. Ken, Laser CD, do an amazing job over there. I've said it. I think I said it last week, Ken. I apologize that I kind of slept on Eden's song. It's a good record, but do you blame me when I get 150 new albums a week slipping into my inbox? Come on, man. You know what time it is now. We're obviously going to be talking about his next big release called Agro Pelter. I'm super excited for this album, man. So Ken Golden doing amazing work over there at Laser CD. And, we talk about superstars, being a part of this show in the peanut gallery, even if they're not, up on screen. How much bigger does it get than the lead singer of Asia, boys and girls, Harry Whitley in the house? Harry obviously is on the side of dancing. And if you've ever been to Harry Whitley's YouTube channel, I kind of get it, bro. He's amazing, right? I mean, I knew about Harry before Jeff Downs had ever even heard of Harry, okay? I was watching his YouTube channel, and he's doing these John Wetton tracks, and I'm like, oh, my dear God, this guy's incredible. Just amazing. And wouldn't you know it, Jeff Downs hears it, and the rest is history, man. This is absolutely amazing. I read all these comments like, oh, this isn't Asia.
It is. It is so Asia. It's the most Asian thing that Asia has ever done.
Get one original member. Well, first of all, how are you going to get John Wetton in the band? How's that going to happen? First of all, it's not going to happen. Second of all, Carl's a little busy, but are you dissing Virgil Donato's drumming ability? Anybody saying that's a downgrade at the drum position? You're an idiot if you say so. And how about John Mitchell? That's your lineup. That's the new Asia. I'm excited. They got signed to Frontier. New record out in 2026. Harry, we love you. Absolutely.
It's a killer version of the band. Absolutely killer version.
I can't wait, man. I really can't.
Charlie, aren't they playing HRH Prog later in the year as well? I think
I believe so. Obviously, you can never be fully sure with HRH Prog what the lineup on the day is going to I believe
the post I've got at the moment, I think they're playing.
Well, yeah. and then you've got. I'm not really even allowed to talk about them because I'm friends with Harry, so I'm not allowed to talk about that other band with that other singer. Thank you. I knew it. I knew it was that other band with that other singer, not official Asia. I'm not dissing the other band because I'm sure they do an amazing job at what they do. That dude was great while he was in Asia, but official Asia, man, Harry Whitley and his boys. I'm excited. And I've been saying this like all year. Words I never thought that would come out of my mouth. Probably number one is I'm excited about a new Asia album.
Yes.
I never thought I'd say those words, and I'm absolutely excited about it. So this has been a great show. We were delving deep into the realms of whether or not you should dance in Prague. And honestly, that's why we write songs in 11/8 times, so that you can't. There's plenty of other. Jeez, come on, man. There's other forms of music. It's called dance music, right? It's right in the name.
Here's something.
It's right in the name. That's what it's there for.
When we do the hour show on our show before this show, and we have to find an hour of music that's relatable to what's we're talking about. So I had to find an hour of dancey prog.
Yeah.
We have tens of thousands of songs in our rotation. It was tough to find even an hour of music that you can. But guess what? One of the songs that made the short list was Mercury Rising. From your guys' last album.
Wow.
There's some pretty danceable moments in that song, and it almost made our. Let's see. Here's what we ended up with.
Oh, let's see this. I'm gonna make you big for that.
I mean, and it's almost impossible with classic prog to find anything. So
apart from Pink Floyd,
Hudson Brothers, yeah, great.
Well, and there's different kinds of dance too.
Yeah.
There's the solstice kind of dance. There's the Hawkwind kind of dance. But I think we're talking about the real dance.
I got one for you.
Okay.
Kayak.
Oh, yeah. They probably have quite a bit. Yeah.
Off of their Starlight Dancer album. Very, very disco-y. It's all on the hi-hat. It's all you can tell like disco. It just hit, that, mid
Kayak,
late 70s.
Saga, some of those guys, they can get close for sure.
Cosmic Tentacles.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, man.
Kairos as well. Think about Kairos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely dance around the Kairos.
Yep.
They've got some serious pop beats going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They really do. They really do.
Charlie Kaywood.
We should really do a show on them. at some point.
We love them. I mean, I think we classify them prog adjacent, but man, I love their stuff.
There's a lot of really amazing stuff that's coming out that's kind of in that, well, is it not? And it's becoming less and less of an issue, right?
I think it's the same thing with the dance thing. Because there's two ways you can ask that question. You can say, can you dance to prog? But you can flip it and you can say, if you can dance to it, is it really prog?
Yeah.
And that's kind of how this crossover prog goes as well. As soon as it gets a little too friendly, well, is it still prog? And as soon as it gets a little crazier, okay, now it's definitely prog again. And that's where that dance line is in that same space.
Yeah.
For me, I would say, like you were saying, you get so many albums every week. I mean, there's more music released every day than probably somebody could listen to in a lifetime. If someone takes the time to listen to our music, as far as I'm concerned, I'm very grateful, given that, you know, there's so many other things they could do with their time. And if they choose to, from my perspective, however they choose to enjoy their music, as long as it's legal and doesn't hurt anyone else.
There you go. As long as you're not,
then I'm grateful for however they choose to enjoy it.
And in the end, you know, I'm going to answer to Baz and his Spriggan Mist mob that kind of made me and Charlie both feel perhaps a little uncomfortable when they were suggesting somehow that we were being gatekeepers, right? No. That we were somehow telling people what to do. We're not telling anybody what to do. If you want to dance at a prog gig, there is absolutely nobody stopping you, right? We're just telling you what's right and what's wrong, what's proper. You know, it's just rules of the highway, right? If you want to drive over the speed limit, I ain't going to stop you. You know, I'm not the dance police. It's just not going to happen. But Charlie brings up probably the best point that's been brought up all day, and that is our audience is getting older, and there are like seatbelt laws in effect. Why? Why? To help assist older people, to do the right things. There's helmet laws in the U.S., right? To protect people from their own worst instincts. And that's all Charlie and I are trying to do here. If you want to dance, it's 100% okay. But yeah, the question then is asked, if you feel like you need to get up and dance and boogie, I think you might be at the wrong concert, man. I just do.
I mean, for the viewers at home.
Sorry. I was going to say, I mean, I also have a background in classical music, and you could argue that prior to classical music, most music making probably was associated with physical movement other than liturgical music. And, maybe classical music in around the 1750s made a bit of a mistake in, making the audience sit still. And the idea that if you're not sitting still, you're not behaving, and you're meant to just look at the genius on the stage and sit quietly and do what you're told. And to me,
you're absolutely right, Malcolm.
If somebody feels inspired to move around from music, I'm pleased that the music has touched them in that way. If it's inspired them in a different way, that's also absolutely fine. But I do have concerns about how classical music has regimented the idea of normative behaviors of just
it's
still.
That can be very gatekeeping, can't it?
It is. And I look, you mentioned the split between liturgical music, where it was really about the only music at that time designed specifically just to sit and absorb, right? To be a part of the whole experience of the Holy Spirit and whatnot. And you still see a divide in the U.S. churches, man. Kevin, you can probably attest to this, where there's churches that, they pretty much all churches will have music. But there's this very strict divide, right? And I can tell you exactly where they stand based on one thing and one thing alone. If the musicians have a drum set back there.
Yeah, or an electric guitar.
Yeah, if you have a really super clean tone without drums and everything, maybe. But yeah, it's usually a acoustic guitar, a mandolin, a banjo, But yeah, if you have those evil drums in a church, you're dealing with one of them lefty commie liberal churches, man. Stay away from those. They're going to lead you astray from the true word of the Lord. And that's really upsetting because God loves music. Music is the language of heaven. Absolutely. So any of that mumbo
one
jumbo
quick question for Charlie.
ridiculous.
I got a quick question for Charlie. Charlie, you're doing a gig. You've got three choices. Obviously, we know every artist hates the people standing, talking, going out and getting beers and bringing them back and not paying attention. We get nobody likes that. And as honest, man, it's annoying. But would you rather they're all sitting down doing this or standing up and maybe a little more?
All right.
I got to think you probably like a little more activity.
For the viewers at home, the feud between Baz and I is not entirely serious. I do think that he is a bully and a villain, and we will bring him down next Sunday. But I do enjoy that transference of energy when you've got a standing audience that's moving to the music however they see fit. I think Malcolm nailed it earlier when he made an argument in favour of freedom of expression, so long as that you're not impinging on other people's freedoms or doing anything that's illegal or unnecessarily dangerous. It stems somewhat from my upbringing with prog, listening to my brother's CDs and tapes. It's sort of in awe, not dancing, listening to the music on a cerebral level. And a lot of the gigs that I went to in adolescence and adulthood were seated gigs where I was in awe that I was in the same room as some of these artists that I'd grown up listening to and loving. That said, I do like to go to gigs and dance, as long as it's not prog. Solstice accepted. No, it's not entirely serious.
I think we all totally get that though, because the last time I saw Yes, I was sitting next to these two younger girls. They didn't know what was going on, and then Roundabout comes on. They get all excited. That's all they understand. They know. So it's kind of annoying for the true fan who does want to kind of sit there and absorb and appreciate the musicianship.
Sure.
That it's all about just the So I think we get it.
I ideally like venues where you've got an area where people can be seated and an area where people can move around more, and that people can then have that choice without impinging on.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's fair. So, and that's a whole different debate, because I know venues in the U.S. versus the U.K. In the U.S., it's a lot of assigned seating, very little standing at a lot of U.S. venues. And I think that's a good solution, is to have some kind of accommodation for both. Because I'm not standing for 3 hours, bro. That's not gonna happen, dude. That's just no, never. I don't care who's on stage. They brought John Bonham back from the dead, exhumed him, and Zeppelin's got a reunion. I'm still not standing for 3 hours. So you got to accommodate for everybody. But that could be a whole different episode, right?
I love it when the bands, the last one or two songs, they invite the audience, like everybody just hoard down to the front and get. So then it's for the last couple of songs, and then the rest of the show, you're really enjoying it in your seat.
But
and
ultimately,
occasionally.
Kevin, we've got with us esteemed members of Hats Off Gentlemen, It's Adequate. Charlie's in like a million different bands. We haven't even mentioned that Nine Skies had an announcement this week. Brand new album from Nine Skies. Do you know anything about that, Charlie?
I might happen to know a little something. I might have even heard some of the emerging music from that upcoming album, Vega. It's pretty exciting. It's a pretty big concept, and we in Nine Skies will share more information.
I can't wait, man. I can't wait. So
it's ambitious. It's very ambitious.
At my disposal right here, built-in audience of people that are in bands. So I can pontificate at length and perhaps have just a modicum of control over what happens in the world. And here's my advice to anyone in a prog band worried about whether or not people standing or sitting is going to get people more or not into the show. Have a better show. And then you won't have to worry about a damn thing. Because you go see Charlie Bramald, you're not going to be bored. I'm telling you straight up, put on a better show. If you're worried, if your band is so lame live that you got to worry about the configuration of the seating is going to determine whether or not people. Your show sucks. Get better. Practice. Be like John Anderson, Bill Bruford, and Chris Squire when they went and saw King Crimson in 1969. They looked at each other. What'd they say? We need to practice. There needs to be more. That's exactly what they did, and they honed their craft and they got better. Absolutely. And if you're operating at the level of a Charlie Bramald, you don't have to worry. It's going to come so natural to you. The crowd's going to be eating out of your hands. You're going to be like Freddie Mercury at Live Aid, right? Just eating out of my hand. It's going to be just like that. Man, this was a great show. I just looked at the time. I have not got the notes slipped under the door yet from the missus, so she's obviously still in a good mood. My favorite restaurant here in Bell Fountain has actually got ribs on the menu, man. It's been like 2 months since they've had their baby back ribs on the menu. Oh, man. I'm hungry and I'm excited, but this was a great show, Kevin.
Great show. And
I think we did okay.
I did want to mention about Hats Off. What we do when a new album comes in, we listen to it, we rate it, and we put the more songs we put on our station, the more we like the album. And we put 5 of the songs in rotation from your album. We did not put the one that they heard on the music video, the Everything Changed. We didn't even, that wasn't even one of the 5. 2 of the songs are on our best of the year list, which was the Between Two Worlds and Safe When Handled as Directed. Those are on our favorites of the year. So it's a great album. People absolutely should be checking you guys out.
Hey, Kevin, look who's here. It's none other than Naomi from 365 Days of Prog. Naomi, you were amazing. We might be doing a little something together here very soon. So stay tuned for that. The return of Naomi. We miss you. YouTube is a way better place when you're in it. Anyway, guys, Charlie, thank you so much for standing up for the forces of good. I just can't appreciate you enough, sir.
Scott, it's always a pleasure to be on the show, and with such fine gentlemen as you, former company accepted. I'm so sorry that they brought the Prog Corner into disrepute today. But
yeah, that's all right, because Mark and Malcolm, they seem to have a more measured approach to it. They seem to understand the nuances of things instead of just there's like wild barbarians like Spriggan Mist coming in trampling all the the rose bushes that Aunt Gertrude's been working so hard on. Oh yeah, we've got a couple of scholars here, right? Hats off, gentlemen. It's adequate. Malcolm, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Great showing today. Mark, thank you.
Thank you, Scott and Kevin. Thank you. And Charlie, always lovely to see you, man. Love to see you in person soon. Yeah.
I don't know if you saw in the chat there, but people were commenting on the bass playing prowess in that track that we played.
Thank you.
And they are not wrong. Mark is he's kind of good at that 4-string thing, right?
He's so cool.
I've done it once or twice. Yeah.
The first ever Ghost of the Machine gig was with It, another of the many bands that Mark has played bass with. And I was absolutely mesmerized by his playing. And then I've seen him with Hats Off, Gentlemen, It's Adequate a few times. What a great live act they are. It's 2 or 3 people on a laptop, and they bring some energy. They bring the cerebral stuff. They bring a great sound, great songs. I can't recommend them highly enough.
Do we have any gigs planned, Mark, Malcolm?
Yes, we've got quite a lot, but my memory's terrible. So
what do we have? Prog for Peer is going to be our next one, isn't it? I think.
Yeah.
We're doing Prog for Peer. Are you playing that, Charlie, as well?
Ghost of the Machine are playing that one too.
Yeah, you are.
We're on the 18th.
If you're free on the pre-party festival night and want to join us for our party thing, come and do something with us.
Yeah,
sadly, I was invited to be a part of that, but given my my situation, couldn't make it out there. But that's going to be an amazing gig. Speaking of amazing gigs, if you're in the southern part of England, Southampton, next Sunday, Spriggan Mist is going to go down against our good friends, Ghost of the Machine. Charlie, as always, a pleasure. Malcolm, Mark, really, really cool. Love the new album. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for bringing some class to the otherwise kind of a classless affair here today. It got a little sticky and weird. kind of feeling a little icky here, but you know, you guys made it all better. Kevin, thank you so much for everything you bring to the show. Next Sunday, boys and girls, we're going to be doing an all-American show, man. We're going to be talking about our favorite American bands, past and present. It's going to be awesome because I don't care what anybody says. American prog is going strong. It might be going stronger now than ever in its history. And I would say it's probably going stronger than the UK prog scene. I don't know. I probably shouldn't say that when Charlie
Our
Malcolm
next battle has now been formed.
That's right. Now we know the answer to that. But
another UK versus US show.
That's
another
it.
one. That's right. We had that battle already. It didn't go well for the US. Didn't go well for us at all. Wait, I by the end of the show, I had to agree with Andy Edwards. It's like, no, you're
make
right.
It a fair
you're
fight.
right.
The UK versus Sweden or Norway or somewhere,
Yeah.
not America. Yeah.
Yeah, make it a fair fight. But anyway, guys, I love you. Peace in the Middle East. Free Ukraine. Free Tibet. Free your mind. Free beer. Free Willie. And God save King Chucky the Third. Oh, save King Chucky, that boy. Oh, that boy could use your saving. Bring him to America, I say. Bring him to Ohio right now. We'll cure that cancer. Oh, I heard that boy's still recovering from it. But, oh, I got thoughts. I got prayers. I got spells. I got incantations. I'm going to drink poison, and I'm going to get Billy Bob out here. Do you know what he's going to do, Kevin?
I think I do.
I think you do. He's going to dance with rattlesnakes. Oh, no, Kevin. Oh, look out. King Chucky's going to dance with them snakes. Look out.
Charlie's getting the snakes over there, too.
Oh, no. Oh, look out. King Chucky, we're allowed to dance with snakes. That's the only kind of dancing I want to see at a prog show is if you got rattlesnakes, you're allowed to dance. Otherwise, get in your seat like a good proper prog fan. I'll see you next week. I love you guys. Peace.